Why, hello there. Why, hello there. Welcome in. Hi, I'm Chef Jay Tay. Welcome back. How we doing, Will Poker? Welcome, Mimic. Welcome. How we be? What's new? What's happening? Happy Monday to you. Hope you're having a good start to yours. Hi, JK. Start off with a little coffee like usual. We'll get into dealing with our chips. And then we'll get into dealing with the steak. Actually, I should get the steak back out here. I've had it fully defrosted. I threw it in the fridge because it was fully defrosted. But I have myself a hanger steak. So we're doing hanger steak and frites. I don't really know for sure how Les Hollis did it. I certainly don't have the right setup to match it. That's sort of what we're after tonight. Hi, El Capitano. Welcome. I say that like I'm not sure if Les Hollis, I can't even pronounce it properly, is still in operation or not. One day closer to Friday, that is true. And I didn't weigh my coffee. I also went out and bought a little bit of beef today. Just a little bit of beef. The ground's all in the freezer already. But I have a ribeye that I need to break down. Beef is not cheap right now, but beef is about to get much more expensive. If you're following the news. Well, I'm going to be cutting up some prime ribeye, but I'm doing hanger steak. I may be too early with it. Like, this is definitely going to hit the market at this point, now that we have many and they're spreading and they've gone beyond the initial, like, containment. Mostly, yeah. The next couple of streams I did do, I think chicken for most of them. Hi, Sniper. Welcome in. I know you said hi earlier. Welcome in, Splits. Happy to see you back. But I have bought, let's see, it's probably in the ballpark of 8 pounds of ground and a full ribeye, boneless ribeye. Hi, Tiff. Fries. Steak and fries. It's short for pommes frites, which it is a very common and well-known bistro dish. But I am going to be using a hanger steak, which is usually a little bit harder to come across. I had to go to a proper butcher shop to get a hold of one. And it takes a little bit more cleaning to deal with. It's got a nice solid piece of sinew that goes through the steak. But otherwise, look at the marbling on it. This is not a prime grade. Look at the marbling in that steak still. Last time you bought was $60 for two. What cut are you getting at 30 pounds? Like, are you doing like finished New Yorks or something like that? Like, this isn't that high. This is on the higher end. This was $16. And the reason I went with ribeye is because it was cheap at the warehouse store. It was comparable to ground beef in, like, Safeway. For prime. Pretty sure they're referring to the very old, like, mail order service. Which, they serve pretty much the same grade as everyone else. Do I like sugar coffee? There's sugar in my coffee, but I don't do like massive amounts of sugar. At least by my standards. Splits here in the US, unless you're buying like directly from a small butcher, and very isolated types things, this very few of those around. You're buying from one of the big producers, which means you have the 3 grades basically. The vast majority that everyone's going to see and be buying is not Prime. Prime is primarily only available to restaurants. There's some supermarkets that have it. I have a family supermarket in the area that carries it. And then the warehouse stores carry it. And that's sort of like the top end of our beef. But pretty much all of our beef is going through the same cycle. And that's because we can blame that on the mob, actually. Government and the mob. Because much like alcohol dram shot laws, where we separated manufacturers from retailers and put distributors in the center of them, they've done the same sort of thing with regulations and controlling the process of beef to prevent organized people getting in and messing with it. Hey, Clipper! Welcome, welcome. Welcome to all of you. Thank you for joining me tonight. Cheers. I've been having fun. My body hates me, but I've been having fun. Hi, Kip. I was going to start with the taters, but I think I'm going to start by cutting open this baby. So we want to take the center line of sinew of this out. So we're basically going to cut this down into 2 steaks. I hope you are well, Clipper. The question is, yeah, we're just going to separate this into 2 steaks, I think. thick enough piece that it's just not going to come out. I'm not going to be able to just squeeze it back together and pretend like it wasn't here. And yeah, it goes even deeper on this side. What's a frite? It's short for Palms frite, or steak fries, or fries. But I am doing them from raw tater. No, I don't want to lose all that beef. That's still more beef than I want to lose there, but that is pretty much all very tough tendon that you can see better on this side that there's no amount of cooking that's going to make that tender. Oh, hey, it helps if I could even show you the board, huh? Awesome. Good job, Jay. So you can see all the tendons and all the connective and all the silver skin that's mixed in there. It's all glistening if I change perspective on it. And so we have now cut this down and taken that. This was between these two pieces. Now the question is, do I want to make this into 4 steaks? Because the length of this is so narrow. Yeah. Previous dinners. Yes. That'll shut up in a little bit. It's got a timer. It's got a keep away after it goes through its cycle. That is set to run anytime we have new people in chat or people that haven't been here first time today people. Unless it's run recently. Do I even want to keep this for... Like, I could use this to season a pan. We're going to keep this to season the pan before I sear these. Although that is going rather long. We'll give it a moment and see if it properly times out here, but... You know what? I'm tired of waiting. Yeah, Clipper. Now, for anyone that hasn't been in here for a bit, I'm working on actually starting a second stream channel. I am going to be doing stained glass artwork. I've built up a bench on the other side of this wall behind me that I'm working on projects on. And I've been working with all sorts of stuff with OBS, and I'm not shocked that something's a little wonky. Alright, I think I'm going to break this down into 4 steaks. From here. Four steaks in a little tasty bit. And we're going to give those a marinade. I'm also working on figuring out the whole vertical thing for all of my scenes so that the vertical Twitch video works for those who are working on a cell phone in the future. It's not there yet. And drop the last of my soy sauce on here. Worcestershire. I think that's it. We're just going to leave it with those. Oh, we can do a little... No. I want to keep it pretty simple. Let's just do those. Leave that like that. We'll switch over to doing tater. I would say taters, but I only have a single tater. Maybe we'll leave this here since the steak is pretty. Top of the hour. I am planning on doing triple cook fries. Thank you for the follow. It gave me even a longer warning for the... Why do I have to double check every last little freaking thing an LLM does? I specifically asked it to make all of those timers 30 seconds instead of there's one of them that's 5 minutes. No problem, boss. We did that for you. Charge you money for it and everything. Did nothing at all. We're just laughing to the bank. So we're going to start with cold water. And start by boiling these taters. I say taters when I mean... Well, we've had this question before. Now that I have cut this up, is this still just one tater? We're going to add some salt to that and heat that up. Dip my fingers in the water because they were getting coated in salt. Rather the salt being there than... Hey, Bradley. Welcome, welcome. Prepping some delicious steaks for marinating. Getting them potatoes ready. Yeah. Although it's not... Yeah, well, it's sort of exciting. Like, I did an initial stream and there was so much I wanted to change. It's probably going to be another week before I do another stream. Alright, so we got those going. We got those started. We can switch over to that. Do I want to do... No, that's what I need to do. I need to do more beef cutting. I forgot about my beef for a moment. We have a big, beautiful piece of beef to cut. Big, beautiful piece of beef to cut. So if you're not doing Prime, you have Choice, which is not very choice. You have Select, which is sort of like Select for pets. This might be a bit big for my cutting board. So this is going to start, I'm going to take the cap off of this. This would be a boneless prime rib at this point, or a boneless rib rack. I'm going to slice this into ribeyes and potentially grind some of it, but we're at least going to. How much was this? This is over a $200 cut of beef. But price per pound was comparable to ground beef at my local supermarket. And that's not prime beef either. Or actually, no. This price per pound is comparable to regular ground beef at my supermarket in price. And do I want to cut all the... I think I'm going to leave it on. Hi, Nan Reader. Well, it's that, and it's also prime rib. When you look at it from a restaurant's perspective for prime rib, they're making a giant roast. And they have no idea if they're actually going to sell all of that roast tonight or not. And so not only... And then you also have to play games in... Do we have enough medium rare? Do we have enough full well done, it is a sort of a nightmare. And so unless you've got a restaurant that is like the House of Prime Rib here in San Francisco, well, they don't always, but they also have ways of using up some of that meat in other ways, but that's their prime. Like, they're not making money if they're not selling out full prime ribs. Flame is now off on those potatoes since they've been brought up to a boil. Starting to get a little of that eye in there. I would think $80 for a prime rib in a restaurant, especially a nice, like, I'm thinking like the steakhouse across the, if anyone has been to TwitchCon in the audience here, the steakhouse across the street from TwitchCon in San Diego, I would think that would be on their cheap end for a prime rib. For anyone new and watching, I'm breaking down a prime rib because the cost of the prime rib was cheap at the warehouse store and comparable to regular ground beef from my supermarket. So with this screwworm fly issue in Texas, I thought I'd get ahead of things and stock up on, even though beef is pricey right now, stock up on some beef. And you went to a Ponderosa. They still exist? I know the owners of, is it Ryan's? One of those other, like, steakhouse slash buffet places is planning a comeback. Yeah, they can see me. They're definitely going to be checking now. And we're, like, there's been multiple occurrences of it being found. It's very likely that a good portion of Texas is gonna have to slaughter their beef and not sell it. That's my guess. Like, Texas is looking at nightmare scenario for beef, even without the cyclical issues they're going through right now. Like, the way I'm doing this here now at home is so much easier than it would be done in a restaurant too, by the way. Because in a restaurant, you're trying to hit a weight on these. Like, you've advertised to someone that this is going to be a certain weight before you put it on the grill. So you best not be undercutting. Me, I'm just like, that looks like a good sized steak. This was less than half of that per pound. Nice. I don't think that was a band, though. 12 studio... Well, has anyone heard of this band? Do we have any tomato fans in the chat? Okay, so now we're going to go through and package these up, but several of these, I'm going to be cutting some fat off of some of these. Do you recommend in the pricing to buy cut self? I think that's up to you whether it's something you want to undertake. I mean, it takes time and figuring out how you're going to do it if you don't know. I think it's a good thing to look at what your options are, because, I mean, the butcher's certainly looking to make money off of you. And I'll just repeat what I was saying before. I'm stocking up now because of what I suspect is coming here. Like, there are so many things against beef right now. Like, it's already expensive because it's in somewhat short supply here in the U.S. We're now going to have this screwworm fly thing reducing what we have available. So demand is going to skyrocket. And then we get into world issues, which are also messing with things. Like, we're not really pulling any Brazilian beef into our economy anymore, and to supplement any losses here from Texas, whether I'm sure all the Texans are like, how dare you buy Brazilian beef? Well, if you don't got any beef, no, I intend to use this up. And if I don't use it as steaks, I will grind some of this up, because this is... But I just suspect the beef is not going to be highly... If you don't think beef is unaffordable now, just wait. Well, there's two ways of looking at that. I don't want to undercut American farmers, but they have to, like, our government's screwing it up for them. How nice of them to leave me some of this fat here from the chain. And connective, too. How lovely. Do I want to suffer through that? No, let's cut that off. Okay. No, thank you. I've already got a hanger steak marinating in front of me there, the splits. Like, how much money you want me to spend tonight? What a jovial raid! Thank you so much for that raid. Welcome in, everyone. Hi, I'm Chef Jay Tay. I cook food on stream 4 nights a week. I'm cutting up some beef because I'm stocking up on beef, because if you're reading the news, beef is already incredibly expensive. It's about to get a whole lot more expensive. And so I'm making sure that I am stocked up. I bought and just broke down a full rib roast. And we're going to make some lard out of that. We're going to cut this a little bit of meat out of this, but this is mostly all going to turn into fat for who knows. I am not going to grind anything now. I'm going to grind things if things are still in the freezer a couple months from now. You made Bulldog Fire Chicken Tacos? Ooh. With the noodles turned into Ooh. That's impressive. How did you cook them and then... Did you cook them with egg into a shape, or did you cook them and then mold them and bake them? It's a famous ramen brand or ramen type. Boiled, mixed with egg, and pressed into a pan. Yep. So sort of like a ramen burger. Nice. So we've got ribeyes for days. I've packed these all into double packs. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe 22-ish bucks a bag. Oh, you're adding more hot sauce on top of that? Oh, nice. Mouth of Kevlar. Asbestos. Last night was delicious. I destroyed that. That was yummy, yummy. Still got lots of cake left. Cake turned out delicious too. I realized that I've had that cake before when I was younger with the coconut with it. I don't know where. kugel was decent with the mac and cheese. Okay, these have gotten their initial cook. Now we got to get them prepped for their initial fry. Carefully drain these, trying not to break them. And we'll do our first fry at a low temp on the oven. Nice. Good heat. How bad is the Texas problem? Well, I know that yesterday morning when I read about it, there were 2 cases, and they were massively dropping sterile flies in the area to prevent potential others from continuing procreating. And today there were, I believe, 2 more. Maybe I misread that, but there were more, and they were outside of the containment. And so, yeah, it's gonna be a thing. And for those of you just joining in with the raid, that's why I'm prepping all of this beef, actually. I bought a whole bunch of ground beef today. I bought a ribeye. I've broken that down into steaks. Yeah. I've also got a beautiful hanger steak here in some soy and Worcestershire that I'm going to be searing up a bit later. Debating what I want to do with the beef. That might be a off-stream project because it's going to take a while. Like, I could let that render like all day tomorrow. Now we squeeze all the air out of these and seal them. Do I want to do... Let's water... evacuate all the air from these. We can use you for this. We can use you for this too. That's hot water. I don't want hot water. I want cold water. Darn it. I think I need another one of those. Coffee break. Yeah, it's gonna be like, I don't know how fast it's gonna hit the market because we haven't gotten to they're ordering people to slaughter their cattle yet, but it's coming, at least for a percentage. All right, so bowl with water. Leave a little gap. That way we get all that air up out of here. Seal it as tight as we can. Oh, that's certainly been a thing. Like, yeah, like... I'm sure turkey's doing great this year, too. I mean, I've already made a couple of dinners turkey-based just to change things up from chicken and pork. Early in the year, I did duck, too. And I bought Cornish hens this year, too. All, like... The Cornish hens I more did because they were, like... Well, it's, like, no different than buying chicken now. But I mean, with the way price of food has increased, like, I really have, like, I am certain that people are hurting. Like, I don't understand how people can absorb these food cost prices increases. As it is, I'm like, I've changed quite a bit of what I've been doing over the years now with increases of the food, even without the most recent inflation. Like, I used to do all sorts of wine. I used to do... I was doing more bulk buying of stuff. I had more stuff in storage. Yeah, I've also done some other meats this year. Like, I did bison earlier this year for the Arizona dinner. I've done lamb this year. Although I do lamb most years. It's just, I don't do it often. I don't eat lamb often. Look at the ribeye on that one. It's beautiful. Beautiful looking steak there. I should also say, like, well, I mean, as far as people affording these increases, I think there's also elasticity of that where, well, okay, we won't eat beef for a couple of months here because it's so expensive now, and we'll do this, and the other thing. Does that really stay true? Or do they just sort of, after a couple of months, be like, well, we really can't afford this anymore? I need a towel for this project. You'll work. You're already unfolded. I don't know why you're unfolded. That's sort of dubious, but I just need to write labels. Next chicken stock cooking stream, which is still probably a little ways off. I've got quite a bit of chicken stock still. But I am not looking for the next one because I think it's going to be a freezer clean out event. These are all going to go over there, but to make things easier for me for tonight, we're just going to throw them in here for now. Alright, heat and oil now. I didn't want to leave that on prematurely. Yeah, I think I'm gonna, if I can remember, I'm gonna render this fat all down tomorrow while I'm hanging out around home. And that we're gonna use for conditioning our pan for our steak later. Well, there used to be a season of wildfires. Now they don't. They just happen constantly now. The last 2-3 years. Usually it's towards the end of the year when everything dries out that people and things get windy. That people get really worried about them, especially around here. But we've been doing pretty good about them lately. Like, I don't want to jinx ourselves, but we've also had 2 or 3 pretty major fires here, and if you consider, when you think about that, you know, once you had a fire, it generally, at least here in California, the return cycle is about 20 years before a forest can regrow enough dry tinder and wood for a new fire to actually happen. And so we got a little while before we're that, but we also have areas here that haven't burned. So we're sort of in a much lower condition right now of being worried, at least here in Sonoma, after Todd Fire and all the others, Tubbs Fire and all the others. So around here, hopefully okay, but yeah, it's just all the time now. California's not doing nearly as bad as other parts of the U.S. as far as drought right now, though, too. So that's also a good thing for here. And really, the fires, like my experience from being here in Sonoma and living through a couple of evacuations, a couple of issues, is that the risk and the worry with wildfires are much more the initial attack of it. Once it's the agencies have found their places where they're going to be able to fight it and lay down lines to defend against it, it's much less of a thing. But that initial fire, that first spark, before they get set up, like, if you have winds, you can have sparks flying from, like, people talk about fire lines like it's a distinct line. And, like, there might be, like, somewhat of a distinct line to the actual flames. But those flames are sending off burning embers into the sky, like, miles away. And I still have a bag of ashes on top of my fridge from the Tubbs fire, which I was miles away from. And I had, like, full leaves, like, of, like, I don't want to get it down because it's all ash, and like every time I handle it, it starts breaking more. But like large leaves, pieces of books, like book pages out of books, all sorts of stuff just littered in my yard. And I'm miles away from it. You've been getting more and more rainstorms? Yeah. Well, I think that's sort of like what's really going to happen here. Like, the whole global warming, where regardless of your stance in this, the way things are headed and the way things look like they're headed, it's not so much that our temperature is going to be hot all the time. It's that our peak hot day is going to be 10, 20 degrees hotter. We're going to have more fires. We're going to have more rains. We're going to have more tornadoes. We're going to have, it's going to be more extremes. Yep. We're making all those coal workers happy because we've destroyed our oil economy. Like, Trump's been sweet-talking coal miners since day one, and he hasn't done jack for them until just now. And the only reason he did that is because oil is getting expensive. Alright, how are we getting here with our oil? Ooh, that's looking just about there. Let's get a pan and parchment to lay these on after we do our first fry and cool them down. I don't know the exacts on this because I don't exactly have solar on my roof. My understanding, though, is that here in California for quite a while now, during, like, peak sunlight hours, you basically don't make any money because we have enough solar. And so, like, the only way that you save money on solar here in California versus electric is you use the solar and then you pay for batteries, and batteries have a lifetime. Okay, going in for our low temp fry. Did I say hi, Alex? Welcome in, Alex. Why is it not showing my check-ins over here? That's weird. Why do I keep hitting... It's like I've forgotten my left from rights now that I've switched where the camera is over this. Like, I've never been great with my left to right versus right, but... It's like I've completely forgotten now that the camera's moved over here versus over here. So this first fry here, we're not getting the color. We're not doing much other than trying to make sure we cook through these fries. Make sure we get that nice, soft, snow-like interior. You mean you don't use L for left? I was never much of a boat person. I don't dislike boats. I just, like... The last time I was in a boating location, I was visiting my parents, and we were watching these people set up their, like, ski-doos to go out and jet ski. And they had to have spent a good 30-45 minutes just getting these things in the water, and I'm like, why does anyone want to bother with this? Like, I understand if you got like a dock of your own or something like that, you can just jump on and go riding. But like, you want to truck it over there, deal with getting it in the water, then you have to deal with getting it out after you have your fun and you're done for the day? No, thank you. That, and I've heard the, break out another 1,000, or boat owners' favorite best days are the days they bought it and sold it. Continue heating our oil with these taters. Gonna get separated into a single layer and are going into the freezer because we want them back cooled down for a second fry. Ooh. Ooh. 5 minutes early on that alert, too. Moving that to the back burner. Oil to the back burner. This is all just this is all, we're going to render all that for our steak tonight. Hey Blake, welcome in. Happy Monday to you. It's steak night here. We'll take you out. You're a little more fat. You're a little more meaty. We'll take those three out for right now. But this and that is definitely getting cooked down into fat. Yeah, after all those beautiful ribeyes, that's what we're eating tonight. That over there. 3 new faces tonight. That's awesome. 21 new people this week. But you have this down low, yeah. And it's not an extremely high temp oven right now, or stove right now. That burner is not up high, it's just enough to get us melting that fat. I'm out of water. Why didn't the command work? Why didn't the overlay work? Fat overlay. Oh. I wish my guts would stop hating me. Just trying to break down as much of that fat down into liquid in the bottom of that pan. You notice it's slowly getting a little more oily in the bottom there. You okay, computer? Was that you back here? Yeah. What's going on over here, computer? You okay? Interesting. My OBS and back crash. Not sure what caused that. Okay, I'm going with that, I guess. Ooh, maybe we can throw you on there. That'll be a little bit of extra fat. Sorry to hear that, Jovian. Hopefully your dinner went off all right. Yeah, it's unusual that machine back there is usually pretty good about things like that. I usually keep that pretty well updated and running. This is usually the one that I'm slacking on. Scramble, that's almost inappropriate. That's good. At least there's that. It would be a bummer if everyone was tuning in for a full stream and you get to the end just about to show the dinner plate and stream cuts. How's our oil for our fries looking here? Beautiful. Alright, we're going to start in on doing our steak now. crank the heat on this front burner. Give it a moment. Steak and fries. I've got hanger steak tonight, which I marinated in soy sauce and Worcestershire. The frites is short for pommes frites, which is French term for fries. Making sure our oil for our fries isn't getting too hot, but we want it up there ready. It's close enough. Well, it's not just like they use Palms for pretty much any potato dish, whether it's Palms Anna or Palms frites, Palms. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. I'm not French, but basically every potato dish is Palms something. I'll pull these off for a moment and crank this pan back up. Touch more oil. Just gonna do the other two in here, and then we'll finish them all together. Why did my microphone die? What happened, microphone? You still there? No. What happened, microphone? Why can't I hear it? Can you hear me? Oh, it was my earbud, not my... It's my earbud. A little more color on that side, and then we'll swap them. Oil was getting a little too hot. I had to turn it down. I'm gonna hit the last of this marinade here with garlic. Flame off underneath this pan. Meanwhile, we've got somewhat warm oil back here. 360. Looks like we can go ahead with our fries. So we're going to go ahead and fry our fries. Oops, wrong button. That's what we want. We're going to go ahead and drop our fries in there now. Frozen. Well, not frozen, but cold. And par cooked. Salt. I guess we'll just cut it on the cutting board. Nice and rare. Fine salt, black pepper, perhaps a little more rare than some people would like. It's got a good sear on it, which is enough for me. Done with the oil, so we'll put a lid on that. We got plenty of steak for later. We got some fries that have some actual structure to them. Tasty tater. Maybe needs a bit more salt. Thank you for the follow. So we got this loveliness for tonight. Quite happy with this. This turned out pretty well. Sort of a simpler looking dish, but it took a minute. Wow, we're just over 2 hours here now. Short stream tonight. Why is that staying on? Interesting bot. Huh. Why is it showing up here? I just turned it off over there. Okay. Whatever. there we have our lovely dinner for tonight. Our steak frites. I shall be back here on Wednesday. What do we got going on Wednesday? We got to decide our weekly vote. Do I have to flip a coin? It was tied earlier. Ooh, we had a last minute winner here. Wednesday is going to be Campbell's tomato soup for dinner and dessert. So I'm going to have to make a dessert using tomato soup. Thanks, I think. That is going to be Wednesday's incredible dinner. I hope you come back to join me for it. If not, I've got lots of other lovely things planned into the calendar here. Friday, we're going to be doing cauliflower nachos. And Sunday, we got Idaho. Monday, we got Can It Be Delicious? So I hope to see you back for all of that. I wish you all a lovely evening. Let's see here. Let's see who's out there in the world of streaming tonight. I'm going to send all of you people off on a raid tonight. I'm going to send all of you lovely people to go hang out with F1 Partisan. They have been raising their own chickens. And so this is going to be chicken cam. They've got an over 18 rating on the video because he's calling it food prep. F1 Partisan, I know, does regularly cook dinner on and eat dinner on stream, but the last, at least the last 2 or 3 weeks here, he's been raising chickens, and so he's got a chicken cam. So I'm gonna send all of you off to go hang out. Watch him do his food prep. And I hope to see you all back here on Wednesday for tomato soup. Good night.